Envy blinds the heart faster than darkness blinds the eyes. And rivalry, once planted, spreads through families, communities, and even nations like wildfire that devours its own roots. When you look at the story of the Vietnamese spirit, you see brilliance, resilience, sacrifice, but also a hidden fracture that comes from the refusal to let another shine. The suspicion that if someone rises, it must mean you fall. And this wound of comparison has quietly eroded the possibility of true unity. The Dhammapada, verse 5, warns, hatred is never appeased by hatred. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. And yet how often do you see this truth ignored in daily life, where neighbors quarrel over land, siblings take each other to court, colleagues undermine instead of uplift. And even in distant lands, Vietnamese communities turn rivalry into a habit, as if someone else's light could somehow diminish their own. But what if the real secret is the opposite? That when you allow another to rise, you rise with them. Because all rivers that flow together make the ocean greater. The Buddha, in the Samyutta Nikaya, Sutta 11.3, spoke of the power of unity, saying that just as many reeds bound together cannot be easily broken, so too, those united in harmony cannot be destroyed. Yet when rivalry overshadows community spirit, the reeds are scattered, each one fragile, easily snapped by the storms of the world. You know this fragility. You feel it when trust collapses, when gossip poisons friendships, when even within the same house people sit in silence, bound not by love, but by suspicion. And still, the Heart Sutra whispers, form is emptiness. Emptiness is form, reminding you that the walls you build between yourself and others are illusions, fabrications of fear, not truths of reality. If you look deeper, you will see that every victory gained at the expense of another's dignity is a wound carved into your own soul. And the hidden warning is this: a society that cannot unite will never taste its own strength. Imagine the awe of seeing a forest where every tree stands alone, weak against the storm, and then imagine a forest where roots intertwine beneath the earth, unseen, unspoken, yet unshakable. That is the image of unity the Lotus Sutra points toward when it teaches that all beings are like children of one great family. But when rivalry reigns, the family forgets its kinship and turns against itself. A Zen master once said, "Happiness is not an individual matter," and his words echo as a gentle yet urgent reminder that the joy of one is bound to the joy of all, just as the suffering of one multiplies into the suffering of many. If you cling to rivalry, you may win small battles, but lose the great war of meaning, leaving the next generation with nothing but suspicion and division, and they too will inherit the curse of never learning how to trust. But if you begin to see rivalry as the great thief of harmony, you can return to stillness, to the awareness that your true strength does not come from standing above another, but from standing beside them. In the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 95, the Buddha cautioned that clinging to views and superiority blinds wisdom, but letting go opens the path of liberation. And here is where you stand now, between two doors, one that leads to endless comparison and one that leads to communion. If you walk through the first, the future of the Vietnamese spirit is a future of scattered voices, each shouting but unheard, each struggling but alone. If you walk through the second, the hidden power of unity will unfold like a lotus blooming in muddy water, showing that beauty is not destroyed by difficulty, but revealed by it. So the lesson is not to erase difference, but to learn that your neighbor's success is not your loss. Your friend's happiness is not your diminishment, and your brother's triumph is your own flowering. The fire sermon, Aditapariyaya Sutta, reveals that everything burning with greed, hatred, and delusion must be seen as fire consuming itself. And when rivalry rules, it is only fire meeting fire, destruction meeting destruction, until nothing remains but ashes. But when compassion, trust, and community spirit arise, it is like rain that cools the fire, a sudden peace where once there was only struggle. The awe lies in this, that the great secret strength of a people is not their cleverness, not their ability to outwit, but their ability to unite, to remember. They are bound by invisible roots, deeper than any rivalry. So reflect on this truth. Breathe it into your being. Let it dissolve the reflex to compare, and listen to the silence beneath your thoughts. There you will hear the voice of the Dharma reminding you, unity is not an external agreement, but an inner awakening. The choice to see no separation between your joy and the joy of another. And when that awakening becomes collective, then the Vietnamese heart will remember its true power, and the wound of rivalry will finally give way to the healing of community spirit. And if you wish to continue cultivating mindfulness and wisdom, please subscribe and walk together with our community as we explore profound reflections on the Dharma. Each modern discourse will be a step bringing you closer to the truth. May you always be peaceful, clear-minded, and pure on your path of awakening. Farewell, and see you again